Imagine this. Bitcoin is audited every 10 minutes in full view of the entire world. Transparent, verifiable, unstoppable. Now compare that to the Federal Reserve, the most powerful central bank on earth, which hasn't allowed a full independent audit in more than 110 years. That's not some internet conspiracy, that's history. And it forces us to ask, why is the future of money radically open while the system that controls trillions of dollars is kept in the shadows? If you believe money should be transparent, not hidden behind closed doors, hit subscribe right now. And if you want this truth to spread, tap like. It helps more than you think. Let's start simple. What does an audit actually mean? In business, an audit is when someone checks the books. They make sure what the company claims on paper matches the reality of cash, assets, and liabilities. It's about accountability. For a normal bank, an audit means confirming deposits exist, that loans are backed, and that there's no funny business going on in the background. Now imagine applying that idea to money itself, the very foundation of the financial system. Shouldn't the system that governs trillions of dollars be the most audited of all? Shouldn't the people who save, work, and pay taxes at least know the rules of the game? That's the heart of this story. Bitcoin built auditing into its DNA. The Federal Reserve avoided it for more than a century. Bitcoin doesn't just allow audits. Bitcoin is the audit. Every 10 minutes, anywhere from El Salvador to Switzerland to Nigeria, nodes across the globe verify transactions. They make sure nobody cheats, nobody double spends, and nobody changes the rules. There's no privileged group that gets to peek behind a curtain. It's all public. You can download the blockchain and see every transaction back to January 2009. That's more radical than people realize. Think about it. You don't need permission from a bank. You don't need to trust a politician. You don't need to beg for transparency. The system gives it to you by design. Every block is like a heartbeat. Every confirmation like a pulse. Tick-tock, next block. 10 minutes later, another global audit. Bitcoin doesn't ask you to trust. It dares you to verify. Now let's flip to the other side. The Federal Reserve. Since its creation in 1913, there has never been a full independent audit. Yes, there are partial reports, selective disclosures, and PR statements, but an open, line-by-line verification of what's on its books, never. This is the institution that decides interest rates for the world, that prints trillions of dollars during crises, that quietly rescues failing banks. And yet, ordinary people have no idea what deals are being made behind closed doors. The balance sheet is a fog. The decision-making is hidden. And when mistakes are made, the costs aren't borne by the insiders. They're borne by everyone else through inflation, through lost savings, through economic instability. So here's the question. Why should we blindly trust an opaque system with our life savings when there exists a transparent alternative that proves itself every 10 minutes? This isn't just about banking mechanics, it's about your life. When the Federal Reserve prints trillions, it doesn't just add numbers to a spreadsheet, it devalues every dollar in your pocket. It's a silent tax, one you never voted for, one you can't avoid. When the Fed bails out Wall Street, it doesn't save ordinary families. It saves insiders, hedge funds, and corporations that made reckless bets. That's privatized profits and socialized losses. Now contrast that with Bitcoin. It doesn't bail anyone out. It doesn't play favorites. The rules are the same for everyone, whether you own 1 Bitcoin or 100. In Bitcoin, no central banker can print more supply. No committee can secretly change the ledger. It's a level playing field, something the fiat system hasn't been in decades. Of course, defenders of the Fed argue trust the experts. They say monetary policy is just too complex for ordinary people to understand. They say transparency would cause panic, but, history shows otherwise. Every time trust is demanded, it eventually gets abused. From the gold confiscation in 1933 to the closing of the gold window in 1971 to the money printing of 2008 and 2020, secrecy has always led to more control, not more fairness. Bitcoin flips that narrative. It doesn't care about expert opinion. It doesn't care about politics. It only cares about rules. Rules that can be verified by anyone, anywhere. That's why the motto isn't trust us, it's don't trust, verify. So here's where we stand. On one side, a century-old institution that hasn't been audited once. That makes backroom deals, that thrives on secrecy. On the other, a 16-year-old digital network that audits itself openly every 10 minutes. That doesn't rely on trust. That doesn't need permission. One system hides the truth, the other proves it block by block. So, which do you want shaping your future? Bitcoin doesn't promise perfection, it promises proof. Proof that no one is above the rules, proof that money can be honest, proof that we don't have to accept secrecy as the default. The Fed may hide for another 110 years, but Bitcoin will still be here, proving itself again and again. If you want more people to see this difference, hit like. And if you believe money deserves to be honest, subscribe now and join us here at Alpine Hodler. The revolution isn't coming, it's already here.